No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of Monday Night Raw for Monday, September 26th, 2022. The road to Extreme Rules is clearer now. We have more matches set up. The card is shaping up. A lot to discuss, so let's get right into it. But before we start, I would like to give the early bird shout outs to the people that tuned in right away when the stream started. Randy Engel, Matt Helms, Brent, Eric, Jonathan Rowan, Sepp, CC Drink, Dave, Calvin Bowman, Torvik. I very much appreciate you all for tuning in early. You are the early birds for this video. Now, let's get started with Raw. We had our intro and pyro, and then we had Bianca Belair come to the ring for a promo, but she was not alone. She had Alexa Bliss and Asuka there to even the odds. The promo was quickly interrupted by Damage Control. Bayley claimed that Bianca Belair was handpicked and chosen. Bianca Belair responded by talking about how hard she worked while Bayley was rehabbing her injury. Bayley said she's tired of the past, and she challenged Bianca to a ladder match for the Raw Women's Championship at Extreme Rules, which Bianca Belair did accept, and then said she'll get Extreme in the meantime with Iyo Sky. And that led to our first match of the evening. Bianca Belair one-on-one with Iyo Sky. The bell rang. Belair drop-kicked Iyo right out of the ring. It was a back-and-forth match. Iyo Sky stepped on the braid at one point to get the upper hand. She went for a crossbody, but Bianca caught her, hit a fallaway slam, and then Bianca went to the top rope, but Iyo brought her down with an arm drag, and then Iyo hit the double running knees, then went for a moonsault, but Bianca knocked Iyo to the outside of the ring, right onto Damage Control. Bianca came over the top onto everybody, and then Bianca got Iyo back in the ring, picked up the victory with the KOD. Bianca picks up some momentum heading into Extreme Rules. Match was good, very standard, not a lot of crowd heat for it, despite the fact that this was the first WWE televised event in Edmonton, Alberta, and I think close to a decade, something like that. Crowd heat was a little lacking for most of the show, and as I said last week, I really do think we need a title change. Bianca just feels a bit stale as champion right now and needs a more compelling storyline. Maybe she needs to be chasing that title instead of being the champion. Hamp Connell with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. I appreciate it. And before I get to this, another thing to consider is potential challengers for Bayley, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. Hamp Connell sent in $5. Thank you, Hamp. Says, today in history, 1999, WWF Unforgiven live from Charlotte, North Carolina, saw the infamous Kennel from Hell match between Al Snow and the Big Boss Man. That was truly one of the worst matches in WWE history, certainly one of the most infamous matches. I will say I liked the build-up better than the actual match. Al Snow eating his dog Pepper, Big Boss Man feeding it to him. I mean, it sounds terrible, the description of it, but it was very entertaining. The match, though, was absolutely dog shit, if I can use that term for that match. Walter Cruz with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. I appreciate it. Says, say yes to no DQ. Click, like, and share. Hashtag stick to my shtick. I think it's time for Bayley to win the title from Bianca. Bayley deserves it. And I just think it's good for Bianca to be chasing. I think with Bayley coming back, it's time for a change. Push Bayley to the top, and you really cement Damage Control as a top tier faction. And you need to do more with Iyo and Dakota as a tag team and keep building them up. Even though they're the champs, you got to keep building them up. And we need some teams. We need teams established. That's one thing I think Triple H needs to work on. DJW sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, man, I remember when the first 15 minutes of Raw was must watch. Now it's Damage Control. Literally shaking my head. I like Damage Control. I just feel like the storyline is a little weak right now, and hopefully that will change over the next month or so. It is lacking, though. I will say that much. In the beginning of Raw was a bit lackluster. I will say this, though. It did pick up. Spoiler alert. Now, let's get to the rest of the show. We had Solo Sikoa and Sami Zayn arrive. Rey Mysterio was interviewed backstage. He said he will always love his son, will not fight his son, though. And this reminded me of when The Undertaker was feuding with Kane, and the Undertaker said that he would never fight his own brother. I think it's pretty clear eventually we will get Rey Mysterio versus Dominic. Maybe at WrestleMania they do the slow build. The Miz was also backstage with some security. He gave them a pep talk and instructed them to take care of Dexter Lumis. And if they did, there would be some great rewards, money, movie roles, TV roles, yada, yada, yada. Then we had Seth Rollins come to the ring for a match with Rey Mysterio. He cut a promo beforehand, blaming Riddle as to why he's not the United States champion. Said that he will beat Riddle in the fight pit. Riddle just doesn't have his intelligence. Then we had Rollins versus Mysterio. Mysterio did not wait for the bell. He went right after Rollins because Rollins had also talked about how he was going to give Rey the beating that Rey should have given his son Dominic, and Rey was not happy with that. And during the entrances here, there was a QR code that quickly flashed on the screen. So I guess we should talk about this. A QR code takes you to a video on WWE.com. And the video has several former WWE stars. There's a number, which is a zip code for Corbin, Kentucky, where there is a White Rabbit Records store. And there's also a YouTube channel for White Rabbit, can't even say it, White Rabbit Records. There's a YouTube channel. And that video, there's actually two videos. One is the White Rabbit song by Jefferson Airplane, uploaded 15 years ago. And then there's a recent video with another zip code, and that zip code goes to Windham, Maine. And also the video, if you go on the QR, I can't even talk tonight, the QR code, a lot of tongue twisters, QR code to the WWE website, there's a code. If you view the page source, you get the code, and there's lyrics to Aleister Black's WWE theme song. Lots of interesting stuff. Everything I just said, you could check out over at NoDQ.com. And Wyndham, of course, is Wyndham Rotundo, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt. So yeah, check it out, NoDQ.com. You can see all of the references. By far, in my opinion, the most interesting teasers yet. They're definitely screwing with people. And I mean, I think it has to be Bray Wyatt at this point. But like Virtue said, there's some red herrings. I think Karrion Kross was a red herring. And I think this whole Aleister Black thing was a nice little red herring to play off of all the rumors regarding him. Anyways, let's get back to Raw. None of this stuff was even on Raw, but everybody's talking about it. So they're doing a good job with it for sure. And no, Torvik, White Rabbit is not Rift Aronson. I can confirm that 100%. And I do not think it's Bad Bunny either. So anyways, Dominic showed up pretty early on in the match. He patted Rollins on the back. He took a seat. He was watching the match as it progressed. And this was another back and forth match. Rollins was doing the three amigos to get the heel heat. Ray countered with a DDT. Ray started to make a comeback, but then Rollins hit him with the buckle bomb. And Ray made another comeback, hit a frog splash, but Rollins kicked out. And the crowd was chanting that Dominic is useless. Ray went for a 619, but Rollins avoided it. And then Ray hit a Hurricane Rana off the top. Finally got the 619. But then Dominic, basically what happened was Rollins rolled to the outside of the ring, and Dominic stepped in front of Rollins, threw the chair down over at Ray, dared Ray to hit him with the chair just like he did last week. And then Rhea Ripley showed up with the distraction, sent Rey Mysterio into the ring post. Rollins was distracting the referee as this was all happening. And then Rollins hit the curb stomp to pick up the victory. And then after the match, actually, it wasn't the curb stomp. He put Ray in a submission after he hit the curb stomp, because he's doing the fight pit match with Riddle. And that's actually how the match ended. Ray was already knocked out from the stomp, and that was the end of it. So good stuff here. They continued the Judgment Day storyline, built up Rollins for the fight pit match. Solid stuff here. Backstage, we had the United States champion, Bobby Lashley, giving Riddle a little pep talk. Like I said, I'm tongue-tied tonight. Gave Riddle a pep talk because Riddle was going up against Damian Priest in the main event. And then we saw one of the Miz's security guards laid out in the backstage area. Next up, we had a tag team match. Johnny Gargano and Kevin Owens teaming up against the American Alpha or Alpha Academy. I keep calling them American Alpha, damn it. It's Alpha Academy. Get it right. Chad Gable was great. Some awesome heel heat coming out there in Canada with the American flag. Nicely done. By the way, happy birthday to Darren. Wishing him a very happy birthday. And congratulations to the Cleaver Colin Andrew, who just got married. Much love to you and your wife and your whole family. This was a fun match. They worked over Gargano for a while. Kevin Owens got a hot tag. Crowd was very much into him in Canada. He did the suck it taunt. And then he had a big swanton to Gable. Gable kicked out. And then Otis and Gable regained the upper hand. Owens and Otis were on the outside of the ring, and Owens came off the barricade with an elbow to Otis through the announce table. And then Theory showed up. Theory distracted Gargano, and Gargano almost lost the match, but then Theory tried to hit Gargano with the briefcase, but missed. Gargano took out Theory with a super kick, and then Gargano hit the one final beat to score the victory over Chad Gable and pick up the win for his team. Another good match here on this show. Continue to build up Gargano, establish him on the main roster. So I enjoyed this one. And then backstage, Finn Balor approached AJ Styles once again and said that he is Styles' friend, said that they can change the business again. Balor brought up, since Sami Zayn has Solo Sikoa, maybe Finn Balor and Judgment Day could work together. He offered Styles the olive branch, but Styles was defiant, saying that he will watch his own back. We then had Austin Theory backstage talking to Alpha Academy. He was not happy about the outcome of the tag match. And then all of a sudden he got a phone call, and it was for Chad Gable. The call was from Braun Strowman, who is going to be on Raw next week. He will be facing Chad Gable in Gable's hometown of St. Paul, Minnesota, which should be interesting. Will Gable be a babyface in St. Paul, or will he get booed out of the building? That remains to be seen. That will be interesting. Will Strowman get cheered or booed? Theory then told Otis to take care of Johnny Gargano on next week's show. We got a few matches set up for next week's Raw. I like that. And then we had Omos versus a couple of local guys. He beat them very quickly. MVP was on commentary. And then after the match, Omos laid both of them out on the announce table and posed. Still doesn't seem like there's any real direction for Omos, but maybe in Saudi Arabia we get Omos versus Brock Lesnar, or Omos versus Goldberg at some point, or Omos versus Strowman. I mean, you have to think that this will lead to something with Omos, and they'll put him in there with one of those three that I just mentioned. Otherwise, what's the point of all these squash matches? Why is Omos even still a thing if you're not going to put him in there and set him up for one of those big matches, potentially? And then backstage, we found out that pretty much all of the Miz security guards, actually, I think it was, in fact, all of them, they were all laid out. And the Miz said that they were supposed to be elite security. I wonder if the term elite was said purposely. Just wondering. Then Dexter Lumis showed up. He was dressed up as an Edmonton Oiler. He had the whole jersey. He had the hockey stick. He was wearing the mask. He broke the hockey stick over the back of the Miz and then put his submission on. So another little skit here with the Miz and Dexter Lumis. Lumis continues to stalk the Miz, and we still really don't know what's up with that. And yes, as Calvin Bowman points out, DX, they will have their 25-year anniversary in 2 weeks. So I like how they're building up future Raws, setting up matches and setting up stuff for 2 weeks. I'm liking how they're doing that, building up the upcoming episodes, doing stuff, planning things out a little bit in advance. I like that. Then we had what was supposed to be Nikki ASH versus her old partner, Doudrop. However, it was not Doudrop. Surprise. It was Candice LeRae making her first appearance on WWE television since I think the end of 2021. Not a big reaction for her, but also she hasn't been around in a while, and this wasn't Toronto. But a fairly good reaction for her. And she hasn't wrestled either in, I think, over a year. Yeah, because her pregnancy was announced in August of 2021. So it's been over a year since she has wrestled on WWE television, and she also was wrestling in NXT. Gargano did have a few matches on the main roster, I think, in 2019, and made a Royal Rumble appearance. Actually, I think Candice did too. But yeah, it's been a while since she's been around. But she is officially back, and no real surprise here. I mean, this was a surprise, the actual appearance, but no surprise that she's back in WWE. I figured that once Gargano was back, she was back. It's like a package deal. I think it was pretty certain with Triple H in charge and Gargano back. it was only a matter of time before Candice returned too. And she made very short work of Nikki ASH, basically a squash match. I think maybe the bigger story coming out of this is that afterwards, Nikki was crying. She took off her mask. Please, is this finally the end of Nikki ASH? I'm really hoping so. Damian Priest was backstage. He cut a little promo, said he's going to have no remorse for his former friend, Matt Riddle. Then we had AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn. Zayn was taunting Styles, doing the "We the One." Solo Sikoa was out there. Crowd was into Zayn, but they were not completely booing AJ Styles. Sami Zayn got in some offense, hit a springboard moonsault, but then Styles came over the top with the forearm, stared down Solo Sikoa, hit the Blue Thunder Bomb, and picked up the win. Actually, he didn't. There was a kick out. Styles kicked out, of course. And both of them were on the outside. Styles got sent into the ring post and then thrown over the barricade. Barely beat the 10 count. Zayn tried to get the cheap win, but was not successful. And they traded blows. Both guys were down. Styles put on the calf crusher, but Zayn got to the rope. And then Solo interfered when the referee was distracted, hit the Uranagi to Styles on the apron, and then it was elementary for Zayn. He hit the Haluva kick, got the 1-2-3 victory. Good angle here. AJ Styles could have had some backup, but he chose not to have some help, and it ended up costing him. I liked this. And then Finn Balor showed up. And by the way, Walter Cruz sent in a $2 super chat. Says Nikki ASH needs to go back to being a psycho. I'm with you on that, man. She needs to just completely lose it and go in a dark place for sure. Drop the whole superhero character. We can only hope. Finn Balor and Judgment Day showed up, and Balor said if Styles accepted his offer, maybe the outcome of the match would have been a bit different. He said that Styles deserves better and asked Styles as a friend to rise up and join the Judgment Day. Styles was thinking about it. Balor put up the too sweet, and Styles was going to do the too sweet, but then transitioned into, as Steve Austin would put it, a little bit of sign language, if you know what I mean. He flipped him off. First middle finger we've seen on Raw in quite some time. Like, you get it almost weekly on AEW, but very rarely on Monday Night Raw. I liked this. Nice visual. And Judgment Day beat down AJ Styles, and they took the chair, put it around Styles' neck, and Balor was going to finish him off, but then did not do it, said that that's not what friends do. So he showed a little bit of remorse towards one AJ Styles. And the question is, will Styles finally give in and join the Judgment Day? Hey, I would be all for it. I mean, AJ is a great baby face, but it would work, and it would build up Judgment Day even more if Styles joined the fold. I like the fact that we're seeing bigger factions. Like, for the longest time, we had like maximum of 3 people in a faction in WWE. It was like a rule, unwritten rule, but now we're seeing more people. The Bloodline's getting bigger. Judgment Day's getting bigger. I like it. And hell, maybe we can see Bloodline versus Judgment Day at some point. Maybe Survivor Series and War Games. Who knows? Even though it's heel versus heel, it would still be fun. Backstage, Candice LeRae was praising Bayley, hopes Bianca, or not Bayley, Bianca. Candice said she hopes Bianca Belair shuts up Bayley, and then Damage Control showed up. We had another match set up for next week's Raw. It will be Candice going up against Dakota Kai next week in St. Paul. And then we had our main event of the evening, Riddle versus Damian Priest. They shoved each other. They both attempted to strike each other. Priest caught Riddle with a kick. And then Balor started to build up offense. Riddle ended up taking down Finn Balor, who took a bullet for Priest. Priest took advantage, suplexed Riddle onto the barricade. And then after the break, Riddle started to make a comeback, hit a power bomb and then a knee strike, but Priest kicked out. Riddle hit a superplex. Priest kicked out again. Then Riddle hit the Bro Derek, but yet another kick out. So Riddle could not put away Priest. Then we started having the interference. Rhea Ripley got on the apron, and then Balor got on the apron. But despite the interference, Riddle was somehow able to pick up the win, eventually beating Priest. But then it was immediately a 4-on-1 attack. And then all of a sudden, Edge made his return after, what, a 2-week absence? Not a very long hiatus. Edge ran down to make the save. He speared Priest and Balor, but Dominic was able to escape. And then Edge got on the mic, said that they keep trying to finish him off, but he keeps coming back. And then he challenged Finn Balor to a match at Extreme Rules. Not just any match, though, an I Quit match. And I like that they're doing stipulation matches for Extreme Rules. Like, if you're going to do the pay-per-view concept, which honestly I'm not a fan of to begin with, but if you're going to do the stipulation themed pay-per-view, then have all the matches be extreme. Like, we got a ladder match, we got the Fight Pit match, we got an I Quit match, we got an Extreme Rules match. For a B pay-per-view, it's looking pretty strong at this point. So nice ending to the show. And Raw was pretty good this week. I mean, it started off slow, but I thought the second and third hours definitely picked things up. So I'm giving it a solid B. Good show this week. I liked the matches. I liked the angles. And I liked the build-up for Extreme Rules. Good stuff here. I enjoyed it. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give this video a like, spread the word, tell a friend. Again, nodq.com. You can check out all the clues from this week's QR code involving the White Rabbit. NoDQ.com will keep you updated on all the news and rumors. And see you guys Wednesday night. We got Dynamite coming up, some championship matches, and then SmackDown. And then, of course, next week, we'll be on our final countdown to Extreme Rules. Predictions will be coming up for that. Stay tuned, everybody. And remember, say yes to NoDQ.com, and I'll see you all next time.